Okay, good morning, everybody. We are in the middle of the teaching of the Maggid. The Rebbe quotes Baslagani Marim from all the Rebbeim, and now we're learning the teaching of the Maggid. This teaching is brought in continuation to what we've been learning till now about the meaning of Hashem's names. What are Hashem's names about? What are they? Are we praying to Hashem himself? Of course. Then why are there different names of Hashem? And we discussed at length last week the meaning of Hashem's names and how the Baal Shem Tov says that the names of Hashem refer to the inner dimension of the vessels. The Arizal says that the names names to the vessels. And we explained that Baal Shem Tov and the Arizal aren't really arguing. Baal Shem Tov said, when the Baal Shem Tov says that the names of Hashem are connected to the vessels, he is referring to the inner dimension of the vessels. He's not talking about the light that fills the vessels. Rather, he's talking about the divine source of the vessels. There is another light of Hashem, which is which fills all the vessels, and that is equal in all the vessels. And then there is a divine source of the vessels themselves. So that's how we explained the statement that the Zohar, he and his lights are one, he and his vessels are one. According to the way the Baal Shem Tov explains this, he and the lights are one means that the way Hashem contracted himself to produce the Sirius of Atzilus, that contraction didn't separate him from the lights. So the source of the divine light, which is the light of Hashem that was produced as a result of the Tzimtzum, the light that emerges after the Tzimtzum is one with the lights of Atzilus. There's a unity between the lights and their source. He and the vessels are one means that the divine source of the vessels, which we learned that the source of the divine vessels are even higher than the lights. We learned that it is because of Hashem's ability, his koyach, his power to conceal that the vessels are produced. So he and the vessels are one refers to a different he. We're not referring to the way Hashem contracted himself after the Tzimtzum. We're referring to Hashem's power prior to the Tzimtzum. We're referring to how Hashem is in the pre-Tzimtzum reality, and the Rishimo, the power of contraction that existed before the Tzimtzum, and the vessels of Hashem are one with the Rishimo. The vessels that were produced post-Tzimtzum, the world of Atzilus, they are connected with the power of limitation in the infinite light of Hashem. So there's he and the vessels are one, are referring to a different he, a higher level of he than the lights. He and the lights are one, referring to the way Hashem's light emerges after the Tzimtzum. But since the Tzimtzum did not affect the power of limitation, so we could say that the vessels are united with a level which is prior, which has a higher source than the Tzimtzum. He and the vessels are one. The infinite power of limitation, Hashem's infinite power to limit, is one with the actual filtering systems, if you will, in the world of Atzilus, those limitations in the world of Atzilus. Okay, that's what we explained until we brought the teaching of the Maggid. What the teaching of the Maggid? The Maggid says that Hashem's name is written one way and it's read a different way. Why is Hashem's name written? This is based upon, we learned this past parsha. It says, Zeh Shmi La'olam, this is my name forever. Says the Talmud, why does the word forever, why is it lacking the letter Vav? And the answer is that the word La'olam, without letter Vav, means to conceal. So Hashem says, hide his name. How should his name be hidden? We should read Hashem's name in one way, and we should write it in a different way. That's the Maggid. So that's what the Gemara says. And the Maggid explains this, that there's the way Hashem's name is written, the way Hashem's name is read, that there is Yud Ke Vav Ke, the way Hashem's name is written, and we pronounce it Aleph Dal Mud Yud. So the Maggid explains that in order to produce the divine energy, which is a source for creation, to make a world, first, in order for Hashem to be a master of creatures, for there to be separate creatures from Hashem that should exist and be subservient to Him, Hashem first hid His light. In order to produce this name Adonai, this name of Hashem should be the master of creation, this ability to be the master was created by Hashem's ability to conceal. So by Hashem hiding His light, that's how Hashem became the master. It was only because of this concealment can we talk about people being subservient and servants of Hashem. Let's continue now on page Lamed Zayin. Let's start with the line that starts with the word Adonai, the word Avol. Avol Shemavaya, who Shemaetzem Aval Havakol Avayis. But the name Shemavaya is referring to God's essence, which is the source of all creation. It's not written the same way it is read. The idea of the way Hashem's name is read is the way Hashem's name is expressed. Just like when you say something out loud, you're talking to someone in face-to-face or face-to-Zoom, as in this case. How you going, Tanya? The first guy to be brave enough to open your screen. So the idea of Hashem's name being read means Hashem's name being revealed. There is Hashem's name as it refers to His essence. There is Hashem's name as it refers to Himself. The way Hashem expresses Himself to the outside, Hashem limits Himself to be expressed to something, for there to be an outside, is the name Aleph Dal Nun Yud. So if the name Yud Kei Vav Kei will be revealed, the world will not be able to exist. The world is only able to exist because there is a concealment on Hashem's essence. That's why the way we call Hashem is with the name Adonai. That means the way we can call Hashem's name, the way Hashem's name is called by the outside, which is the idea of creation, that is accomplished by Shem Adonai. Next page, that's the meaning of sovereignty and Hashem being our master. Is there someone who can be subservient to Hashem and not be, so to speak, absorbed in the Godhead? That is accomplished by this concealment. The kivin she'olah b'ritzein the she'ini is hamachos adnos. Once God desired that He should be a king, that He should be a master. So there became the existence of the world. There became the existence of the people, of servants of Hashem. So a beautiful thing yesterday from the Rebbe. The Rebbe said, "Why is it that one good action could tip the scale of the whole world for merit? Why is it possible that one good thought, one good word of one individual person could change everything?" The says because the whole world is created for that thought. The whole world is there for that thought. And therefore, by having one good thought, that's what the world's about. Why is there a creation? Why is there a concealment? Because Hashem wants us to be His servants. So the existence of the world is about serving Hashem. Therefore, it makes sense that one little thought of one individual could affect everything. I saw in Tanya, chapter 12, of Gersa Tshuva, Alter was talking over there about why it's a great thing to have pain. Why a person should rejoice in having pain. Why should rejoice in having pain? So Alter gives the analogy of the impact of our mitzvahs. Alter says that in order for a shadow on earth to move one tefach, to move 5 inches, the shadow is only moved 5 inches because the sun travels thousands of miles. By the sun traveling thousands of miles, that alters your shadow a few inches. Similarly, when one bird is offered in the Beis Hamikdash as a sacrifice, it has an incredible impact on all of creation. And by that note, although it says in the Sefer Iyov, in the introduction by the Ramban, that all the pain that we have in this world is nothing compared to the pain of Gehenna Chas v'Shalom. But having slight pain in this world, it takes away and cleanses so much more than you get far more bang for your buck, so to speak, by the pain you have in this world versus the pain in the world to come, because the pain here is far less and yet has a much greater impact. But the Abishur is a genius. He doesn't have to give us pain. He could take care of it without any pain. The Alter mentions that since people cannot fast as much as they could, therefore they should rejoice when they have this pain, because now they've been cleansed. You don't have to worry about going to the world to come, but Sheikh is coming, but still the pain itself, the person who has to experience pain, that does something for their, that's our soul be revealed. So by the same token, the Alter says that our mitzvahs, so we have to realize a slight action of one Jew doing one thing, it has an effect on everywhere in all the entire world. So why is there such an impact? Because the whole creation is there for us to be Hashem's servants. Therefore, when the Jew shows up, he does the mitzvah, it makes a difference. All that is so too with regards to all the other names that cannot be erased. They're all about creation. They're all about Hashem giving to creation. The name Kel is how Hashem gives kindness to creation. And so forth with all the other names of Hashem, they're all about how Hashem governs the world, how Hashem gives the world. Now up to the first full paragraph on page Lamed Zayin. Why do we call Hashem by the name Adonai? He says the Mizitcha Magid that we're only able to understand a very little bit of the God's energy that animates the worlds, because Hashem wanted to be our master. Therefore, there's a little bit of godliness that shines through in this world that we're able to comprehend. But the name Yud Vavke we can't understand. It's beyond our reach. And also the higher worlds we don't understand either. Negad Shema Avad Shmei. Negad Shema Shiratzi is Nagad V'adin Avad Shmei Shrutzach Laham Shemetzim. So in order for Hashem to become a Negad, Negad means Nagid, in order for Hashem to become a master in Negad Shema, to achieve the title of master, Hashem had to first Avad Shmei, to lose his name. Had to lose Yud Vavke in order to be the Nagid, to be the master of creation. The master of creation, as we learned last week, where we find God's greatness is where we find his humility. In order for Hashem to be great, to be a master of the world, is through him hiding himself. בצד זה נעשה גם מצים שמקל, גם הארץ, גם in הקריאה, וגם in הקריאה, בשם אנימל ואש, בשם הוויה, שהוא שם מועצם. In the lights of Hashem, there is also an element of diversity. I'm not talking about according to the opinion which says that the lights themselves have a form. That's an opinion in Kabbalah. Not referring to that. There's something called the Avius Shaba'er. When the Rebbe said the Maamar, you could hear on the tape, the Rebbe said there is the Ur, and then there is Avus Ha'er, and that's the ayin base. This Avus Ha'er without the ayin means the creation of the light. His Avus Ha'er with the ayin means the thickness of the light. There is the light itself. The light wants to wants to go to its source. By the way, if you're not muted and you're not speaking, it's better to mute so that we don't hear that you're making it the coffee over there. Going making us all thirsty. So the light itself wants to go to its source. However, the production of the vessel comes from the light itself. The light has within it a lower part of the earth, lower part of the light produces the vessel. Although I said last week and today that the vessels have their own independent source outside of the light, they come from the Rishimu. However, the emergence of the vessels, where do they emerge from? They emerge from the light themselves. Light itself produces the vessel. His avus the thickness of the caused there to be the vessels. That means there's some effect of the tzimtzum on the light itself, and which produces the vessels. Now, the reason the light agrees, as we learned last week, to go to the vessel is because the light senses that the vessel has a higher source than concealment. The light realizes that the vessel has a higher source than the light. The light originates from the kav, versus the vessel originates from what remains after the tzimtzum, what was not affected by the tzimtzum. And therefore, the light wants to go to the vessel. But this itself, that the light's able to go to the vessel, even though that stems from this, if you will, this altruistic desire to be closer to Hashem, but that's still going downward. It's still a downward trajectory for the light. That's not going up to its source, it's going downward. So its ability to go downwards, even though it comes from this yearning to be closer, is still it's still because of the effect of the tzimtzum on the light. That's why the light has in it this thickness, if you will, this grubkeit, this coarseness, if you will, on the level of lights of Atzilus, that allows there to be the creation of the vessels. So in the God Shema, because Hashem wants to be a master of creation, therefore Avad Shmei. Avad Shmei doesn't just mean there's a contraction. It means that there's a complete removal of light. The Tzimtzum Arishan, the first Tzimtzum, was a complete removal of light, and that made it possible for there to be the production of the Kalim, and production of the worlds that feel themselves to be separate from Hashem and serve Hashem. Next paragraph, Mizitcha Maggid continues to explain in this teaching. Maggid says, however, there is a way where Yud Vavke can be revealed. That's when the physical is divested and the spiritual is pronounced. When is a physical divested and the spiritual pronounced? This is, in this world itself, this is the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. Concerning the Kohen Gadol, the Torah says he should be separated to be holy of holies. And Yom Kippur is also called Shabbos. Yom Kippur is called the Shabbos of all Shabbosim. Just like the holiness of Shabbos impacts all the days of creation, the day of Yom Kippur is beyond having an impact on days of creation. It's Shabbos Shabbosim. Its holiness is higher, and we don't eat or drink on Yom Kippur. And then the Kohen Gadol is able to understand a little bit of what is above creation. And that's why he would remember God's name on Yom Kippur. How would he remember God's name? How would he be in touch with God's name the way it's written? We said the God's name was the way it's written can't be revealed in this world. Well, it could be revealed in the place where there is more of a pronounced spirituality. In this place, by this person, where there is a revelation of Yud Kei Vav Kei, in him, it was possible for there to be this revelation. So the Friedrich Rebbe said, just for us to have some parallel for this concept. The Friedrich Rebbe said about Reb Arnav Belz that during the time of the Second World War, the kind of torture they experienced in the Holocaust made him as a human being have his spastus agashmis. He wasn't. He totally divested the physical. The physical didn't matter to him. It says also about the 10 Jews who were, we read about it in Kippur and on Tisha B'Av, like Rabbi Akiva, who the Romans combed his skin with iron combs, the 10 Arugei Malchus, 10 martyrs that were killed by the Romans, Al Kiddush Hashem. It says the reason they were able to do these stunning acts of sacrifice, like it says about one of them that he requested Rabbi Akiva saying Shema Yisrael while his skin is being combed, and another one he's being burnt alive, but they're burning him in a very slow way, and he's still able to talk. Incredible acts of sacrifice that says in the Rebbe Rashab said that their sacrifice was in a way that they were totally divested from the physical. They didn't feel the physical at all. In other words, it wasn't that they felt this intense pain and they went against the pain. It was more like there's no self anymore. There's no physicality. I don't know if this is relevant or not, but maybe bring it a little closer to home. Reb Shaya Berkowitz said about his mother. She was once lighting a candle, and he asked her, "Why lighting this candle?" He said, "This is the yard site." "Whose yard site is it?" "Your brother." He didn't know he had a brother that was killed during World War II, during the concentration camp by the Nazis. So he said his mother makeup meant nothing to her. It was all the physical, the gashmius was unimportant. So the Kohen Gadol, the holiest person, the holiest place, and the holiest time, he experienced something above the world, and that's why he was able to experience revelation of Yud Kei Vav Kei. But this leaves us with a question. The question is, a page Lamed Ches, next page, Alachur and move on. What are we saying? You're divested from the physical, and therefore you could experience Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Kei Vav Kei, we said, is the name of Hashem's essence. It's infinite completely. So you're able to glimpse beneath the veil of the opaque veneer of the physical world and get in touch with the divine energy within creation. Okay. But what does that have to do with the name of God's essence that's beyond all of the worlds? How come in the Beis HaMikdash you're able to have that revelation of the infinite light of Hashem? It seems to be a lot more than what the Maggid says, that when spirituality is pronounced, then you're able to have the revelation of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Kei Vav Kei can't be revealed in Atzilus either. Compared to Yud Kei Vav Kei, spirituality is also a creation. Just like the physical was created, the spiritual was created too. So just because he is divested of the physical and connected to the spiritual, how does that make it possible for him to touch Yud Kei Vav Kei and to read Yud Kei Vav Kei? We could possibly say the explanation for this. We said earlier that the source of the divine vessels is even higher than this light of Hashem that is vested within the vessels. Since it has to go lower, it has a higher source. This is a Hasidic flip, right? It takes an infinite power to bring something to a lower place. For the Kohen Gadol to say that Hashem's name in Yom Kippur, that emanates from a very high place. Above all of creation. The revelation that happened in Yom Kippur clearly was something associated with Nimna Nimnois, with the essence of Hashem, who for him it says it is impossible to say the word impossible. There was a connection of two opposites in this revelation. On the one hand, there had to be a Kohen Gadol who was a soul in the body, and not just he had to have a soul in the body. The Torah says Basically has to atone for himself and his family, his household. Says the Gemara, you're not allowed to be a Kohen Gadol unless you're married. So not only did he have to be involved in the physical as a soul and a body, he had to be married. But in a place where he is a human being, a physical body, he had to be divested of the physical as well. He had to be above the physical as well. This is a convergence of two opposites. Just as this is true for the Kohen Gadol himself, that we see in him a convergence of two opposites, that he's a human being who is married in this world, and yet he's saying God's name, so too is this true for the time that Yom Kippur takes place in. Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the year, and you can't eat and drink on that day. On the other hand, it's considered one of the 365 days of the year. It's counted as a part of the 365. The Beis Hamikdash, the place this revelation happened in, it was a physical place, and yet this physical place was beyond space. And specifically, the Kohen Gadol entered the Holy of Holies, which it says about that space that if you measured it, it would seem like it takes a measurement, and yet the objects in the room, the ark which was in the room, wouldn't affect the measurement. There was space and there wasn't space at the same time. And since the convergence of two opposites stems from a very lofty place, it stems from the one who, for him, it says it's impossible for there to be something that's impossible. Therefore, it's possible for there to be the calling of Yud Kei Vav Kei, the name of Hashem's essence, in this world. That Hashem's name should be revealed. So just like we're saying about the vessels of Hashem, that they have a higher source, that for there to be a vessel, for it to be a contraction, it comes from a higher source, so too with the Kohen Gadol, to be able to call upon Hashem's name in this world, that comes from Atzmos. Only Atzmos could cause this convergence of these two opposite things, of the Kohen Gadol being here alive, a physical person, in time, in space, and yet to be beyond time and space. Okay, so in short, what do we learn today? We learned that the Maggid is telling us that in order for there to be creation, in order for there to be people, there had to be a siluk, had to be a tzimtzum. And the purpose of this all is just so that for us to serve Hashem and to call Hashem our master. And yet, although Hashem had to hide himself, there is a time when Hashem is not hidden. There is a place where Hashem is not hidden. And that is in the Beis Hamikdash, where spirituality is more pronounced. So in that place where spirituality is more pronounced, where there's more of a revelation of godliness, there it's possible for there to be the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei to be revealed. We asked, how is it, even just because spirituality is more pronounced, that shouldn't get us all the way to Yud Kei Vav Kei? And we answer it's precisely because of the convergence of two opposites of this revelation being associated with a human being in the physical world, that it stems from, it connects with the essence of Hashem. Only the essence of Hashem could make it possible for there to be this convergence. Because there is, it seems like what Rebbe is saying is that perhaps similar to Rabbi Arnav Belz and the Asari Gamalchus, because they're physical people, and yet they achieved this parting of the veil, of going above the reality they were in and divesting themselves completely of the physical, that going against the grain connects them with the essence of Hashem. It sounds like it's a product of the Aved, of the service of Hashem. By the Kohen Gadol, it's not just a service, it's also the divinely orchestrated place and time that means something. But the reason it means something is because of these two opposites coming together. It sounds similar to the Akedah. It says about Avram Avinu offering Yitzchak on the altar of the Akedah, as he put Yitzchak on top of the wood. So we learned that the wood that Avram put Yitzchak upon was the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. And the Rebbe Rashab writes that in order to do the act of the Akedah, in order to be able to be in that zone of offering a son for Hashem with such joy, Avraham Avinu reached the same place that Adam and Eve were in heaven before the sin of the tree of knowledge. He had to go above the wood to be that place. So for him to go above that wood in a time which is post the sin, it stems from somewhere higher. In a similar way, for the Kohen Gadol to be able to call Hashem's name in the Beis Hamikdash as a human being married, it stems from Atzvus. It comes from Atzvus. And that's where we're going to conclude for today. Any questions or comments? Okay, great day, Yonatan. Great day, Mordechai. Great day, Jeff. Great day.